So quick update on my pregnancy. I am 39 weeks and 2 days. Today's Wednesday, July, let me see, July 8th. So I am due July 13th. So really less than a week away I'll be due, and I'll be 40 weeks then. But I have a feeling that Carson's not gonna come on that day because normally I don't. But I am really wanting him to come earlier, but I doubt that will happen. I just have a feeling it won't. My last doctor's appointment was my 38-week checkup, and so you have, well, I've had 2 doctor's appointments where the 37th and the 38th week checkup, because now I see the doctor every week. So those last 2 checkups, they checked my cervix to see if, 1, if I was dilated, 2, if it had loosened, I guess. So the first one, the 37-week one, it was looser, and then the 38-week one, which was last week, they said that it was really loose, but I haven't dilated at all. So I'm hoping this Friday I have my 39-week checkup, and I'm hoping that I'm dilated a little bit, but I kind of have a feeling I'm not, because I haven't been feeling any like contractions in my uterus. I've literally just been feeling, of course, tired, but not as tired as the first trimester. The first trimester literally was the worst. Like, I don't even know how to explain it, but I think I was like 7 weeks, maybe 8, maybe 10, I don't remember, it's been a while. I was probably like 10 weeks pregnant, and it like hit me like a wall. Like, I had never been that tired in my life. I was exhausted, like just walking from one part of the house to the other. And this house is not that big, so that's not saying much, but it wasn't just that. I could take the exhaustion. It was like nausea, and then like I had the worst headache I've ever had in my life, like migraines. Like, the only time it would go away is when I fell asleep. So it was still there, I was just asleep. Out of all 3 of those, the headaches were the worst. Like, I actually only threw up like 1 time, but I always felt nauseous no matter what, and I really didn't eat that much. Like, I think before I was weighing in at like, and this was when I was working out all the time, kind of before I was pregnant, I was like 133, 134, and that was in the morning after I had finished my workout. And what I'd usually do is just like, I'd go run for like 30, 45 minutes, then I would do like squats and then some abs. I didn't really do too many abs, but yeah, I would work out for probably an hour every single day. So that's why I was at 133 without any food in my system. And then I would stop eating around 8 at night. So, but then whenever I was pregnant, I went up to like 137. And then that month, those first 2 months, so they weighed me the first time I went in, which was like my 7-week checkup to, that was to make sure that I actually was pregnant. So I had my ultrasound and everything like that, and I was weighing in at 137, which was like, it's about normal, I guess. And I had eaten and everything like that, and then I went in a month later, and that was I was super sick, and I weighed out 134, and I literally was not eating that much because I was like I said, I was super sick. and I could barely eat anything anyways. I was like trying to work out every single day besides Sunday, and I actually did, but I like every time I only did the pregnancy workouts, and they were like 20 minutes, maybe 15 minutes tops. But every single time I would do like lift weights for like, because it was usually like 40 seconds on, 15 seconds off. Like every single time I had to sit down each like set. That's how tired I was. And it was like, and my muscle mass, like at least in my arms, and it still hasn't come back at all, but like I cannot lift. I used to lift like 15 up to 25 pounds, like those over there on like each, like, so that's like 50 if you have 25 and 25. Anyways, yeah, I don't have to do the math, but yeah, and then I had to literally go down to like a 5 to 8 pounder, and every time I was done with the 45 seconds, like I would have to set them down. So that was like a really big like change. Like my upper body just totally, like, I don't know, I would just get super exhausted if I did anything upper body. My legs, like in the beginning it was pretty exhausting, like I would just get exhausted, but my legs have always been pretty strong, so it wasn't as bad with my legs. I still in this third trimester, they're still a little weak, but they're way stronger than my upper body. My upper body, like, it never really came back. So in the second trimester, which would be like 20 weeks, I think that's when I don't know. I know 20 weeks is you're in your second trimester. 20 weeks is also whenever I found out the gender of my baby, so that's how I know it's second trimester. But anyways, pregnancy brain. See, yeah, and then also I forget what I'm talking about half the time, and it really didn't start until like probably my third trimester, but I forgot what I was going to talk about. But anyways, oh well, I'm just going to talk about something else because I don't feel like pausing the video and then thinking about it, because it probably won't come to me until the next 5 minutes. Oh yeah, we'll skip forward. So yeah, I am hoping that I am dilated at this next appointment, and if I'm not, I'm gonna be super sad, because I don't know how much longer I want to be pregnant. But I know, like, whenever you go into the hospital, like, I'm gonna probably wish I felt like this and probably be like, what the heck was I talking about? But yeah, so I'm delivering at the, well, hopefully Baylor Scott White, yeah, Grapevine location. And this is during like the COVID time. I forgot to mention that. So yeah, during the pandemic of the COVID or coronavirus. So right now, every time I go into the doctor's office since March, like late March, it's probably late March, because the pandemic hit like, I don't know, spring break, March like 15th or so. That's when it actually like officially, we went into like lockdown, and we didn't have to wear masks yet. They were saying don't wear masks because it doesn't protect you, and now they're saying wear masks. So, I mean, I don't know. But anyway, so now I have to always wear a mask when I go into the doctor's office. Well, first, actually, yeah, I'll talk about that, because that's probably something that is way different than how it was before. So every time I go to my doctor's appointment, I have to wait outside the door, and then they come, let me in, they check my temperature. They ask me if I've been outside of the state or the country. Like, you're not even supposed to leave your state. And if you do, you're supposed to do like a 14-day quarantine. So yeah, and they check your temperature, and then they have you like write your name down, and at first they made you go back out to your car. So sometimes I would be out there kind of waiting for them to open the door, and I mean, I'm already pregnant, and this is during summertime in Texas, and I would just be so hot and sweaty. So my temperature would rise, like, it's gonna rise if you're out in the sun. Like, that's like a no-brainer, but I've never hit, like, it can't be over 100, but like my temperature would be like 98 point something, which I guess is high, I don't know. But then they'll just check it again. But then they'll ask you the questions like, have you been outside? Have you been feeling these symptoms? So the symptoms were like, what were the symptoms? Like temperature, obviously, feeling sick, nausea, like all the stuff that you would feel whenever you're pregnant. So I don't know. I just like feel really bad for people that are pregnant and that are, because that's how I felt in the beginning whenever, like, my first trimester, when I was super sick. Like, there's probably times where I was probably running a temperature because I was so sick, but it's not because I have the corona or had a virus. It's just because I'm pregnant. And when you're pregnant, like, your body just goes through, you're growing a baby. So, like, your body's just going to do some weird things. But anyways, like, luckily I wasn't pregnant, like, I am pregnant, but like the first trimester, I wasn't pregnant during that pandemic because I know that my temperature would be higher, I would be throwing up, like all the symptoms that they say, like headaches, temperature, like I've never really had problem, well, I mean, even breathing, even right now, it's just because I'm so cramped. Like, the baby is just, he's there by everything, and sometimes it is hard to breathe. And then sometimes, like, I will cough just because. And that's like another sign. But anyways, I'm not no doctor. So, yeah. I have to wear a mask every time I go into the doctor's office, and I have to wear it the whole time, which is really hard because it's actually already hard enough for me to breathe. And I did have like one of those cool cloth masks, like with, you know, they have like decoration on them. They're more like, they're just more girly. Those are so hard to breathe in, and they really, at least this one kind of hurt my ears. But those are really hard to breathe in, and I just, like, every time the doctor would leave the room, I just take it off because one, it's annoying, two, it restricts my breathing, and like three, like I wore it like a couple times. I'm pretty sure it's pretty dirty. So I know you're supposed to wash them, but you know people don't wash their masks. I can go on and on about the mask situation. But then I got just like kind of these disposable, really cheap ones, and those are so much easier to breathe. And so if you're pregnant and during the pandemic, like, I would suggest getting the cheaper masks, the ones that are like paper thin, that way you can breathe, because like the other cloth ones are so hard to breathe and they catch more bacteria. It's like clothing. Like, you don't wear the same shirt every single day, and if you do, like, over time, it's going to smell, and it has like dirt on it from you just walking around outside. So to me, it doesn't make any sense to be wearing a cloth mask all the time. You have to wash, like, every time you use it, like, you probably need to wash it. Like, that just makes logical sense. Same thing with the paper mask. Like, every time you go out, honestly, you probably should just throw it away and get a new one. But we can't be wasteful here, so I don't know. Anyways, in the hospital, we can only have one person, one support person, which obviously is going to be my husband. And I'm super sad about that. Like, I'm so glad that I can have my husband there, because that's who I obviously would want there. But like, I kind of wanted my sister to be there, and then like my mom, because this is like my first time being pregnant, so I like want to ask for advice what I should do. And then also my sister is pregnant too. Like, we're twins, and we're due like literally 3-4 days apart. So it would, like, anything that she feels, like, I usually feel later or before. And like, we're just going through this whole thing like together, which oh my gosh, it's been such a blessing. I'm gonna get emotional. This is weird to talk on camera and cry, but like, I'm so grateful that I was able to be pregnant with my sister, because it's really hard. Just like, everyone makes it seem so easy, or like at least it comes off that way, or I just didn't know. You just don't know what you don't know. But it's been super hard, especially like during this time of like just uncertainty, and like everything is just, I feel like, falling apart. And I don't know, the world is just crazy. And sometimes it's just really hard to be strong. Like, you can only be strong for so long. You can only like put up a wall for so long. At least I break down all the time. It's usually like in the shower. But anyways, it's just hard. I don't like watch the news or anything, because it's like bad news all the time. Like, who wants to hear bad news all the time? It just gets annoying. And that's like, it makes me upset to just like hear negativity all the time. Like, at first I was like sad, and I was like trying to do my best, like, you know, to be supportive and just like understand, like, yeah, this time it will pass and everything. And I was like super optimistic, and like, I don't know, it just kind of has changed, like, my perspective of like the news, the media. Like, it was always like, I always had, I don't know, I usually use my common sense to like think, like, if someone's telling a story, like, what to take from that, what I should learn from it. I don't want to base my ideas and opinions off of just some like one person. Like, I have to like think about it, like, does this make sense? Like, well, why did this happen, and all that. And I know that I'm kind of getting into a whole different subject, but it, like, at this time, this is like what I think about all the time, because like, you know, I'm going to be having a baby soon, and like, I need to be strong for him. It's a boy. His name is Carson. But I need to be strong for him. I have to show him, like, you know, even in hard times, like, there's always, you know, peace and love, and to remember, you know, our Heavenly Father, and just remember that Jesus loves him, and that, you know, everybody's a child of God, and to treat them with respect, but also, you know, let him make his decisions, but make wise decisions. Think about the decisions and the judgments that you make. Like, everybody judges. It's just like our human nature. Like, even you know, just like walking down the street, you just see somebody like running after a dog. I mean, my mind would think like, oh, that dog, like, he's a bad dog. No, not necessarily. Like, you just have to go, you have to make righteous judgments. That's what I would say. Like, you need to make righteous and true judgments. I guess true doesn't really make sense, but like righteous judgments off of like just things in your life. And that's what I want to teach him. Like, I want him, like, we have a brain. Everybody has a brain, and we like need to use it like correctly. Don't judge off of just like one thing. Don't judge off one thing that you see and just suspect like that's all the evidence, like what you see is what's there. Like, that's not true. There's always two sides to one story. There's actually multiple sides to one story. And so I think the best way to look at, and I am probably just going all over the place, but the best way to look at like somebody's like idea or thought process is like like listen to what they have to say, like agree to disagree on certain things. Like, if you don't think that that's right, that's fine. You don't have to tell them that you don't agree with them and tell them why, like, this is what you should believe. No, like, let them choose for their own choice. Like, everyone has their own agency to choose, right? But if we had like more conversations where I could talk to people, or like even just like the news is so swayed all the time. It's just like, no, there's only one side to this story. Like, okay, there are points in that story that are true, but what about the other facts? What about the other people in the situation? Like, there's just so many other things that are not taken into consideration, and then people just make their judgment off of one thing, and that doesn't make any sense. That doesn't make any logical sense, to just judge off of one thing when you're not even there. Like, you're not there, present in the moment. I mean, the most important thing is to be present in your life, and just like don't take things for granted and see other people's points of views. Doesn't mean you have to agree with them. Like, my religion is not their religion, my body's not their body. Like,